Doing the pledge to the flag. Father, we just want to take a deep breath right now as we change meetings and help us to focus in on what the task at hand is for the agenda right now. We need, many times we need divine intervention to help us to stay focused. So be with all the commissioners and those that are involved with the conversations. May it just glorify you, and we thank you for that. Be with our first responders out there as they protect us, as we rely on them for many things out in the county. And we do this all in your Son's name, Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, I'll call the November 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Burleigh County Commission to order. First item is roll call of members.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab.
Here.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Chairman Bittner.
Here. Next is approval of the agenda. We have an amendment to add an amended tax abatement list. Some late breaking stuff, so I would like to see that added to the agenda. Otherwise, commissioners, I'm okay with the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, motion to approve the agenda with the amendments. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next is consideration of October 28, 2025 meeting minutes and the current bills. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I have an opportunity to review the bills this afternoon, and I would move we approve the minutes and the bills.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the minutes and the bills. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. At this time, we'll open up the floor for any public comment that's restricted to Burleigh County and its residents and landowners. This is for comments that are not related to agenda items. Does anybody wish to speak under public comment? Again, does anybody wish to speak under public comment? Third and final call. Anyone wish to speak under public comment? I'll close the public comment period and move into the consent agenda. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the consent agenda with the amended abatement list.
Second. I have a question.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Go ahead, Commissioner.
The ones that, with this list we got just a few minutes ago, although there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties that were grossly overestimated, or what's the story on those? You know, is that city or is that county or?
I believe that those are city properties. However, you'd have to talk to the tax director or the city assessor for more specifics.
But they're not our responsibility.
Well, if they're in
so
Burleigh
many.
County, they are, but as far as
Gotcha.
which municipality they're in, I'd have to verify with them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Next, County Planning Director Mitch Flanagan. We got Stall Farms appeal, waive application fee, and an application for a special use permit. Welcome, Mitch.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. First up on the items here is the complaint to owner at 1725 201st Avenue Northeast Baldwin. A notice to owner was sent concerning a complaint from a neighbor was sent to Mr. Jared Stahl Holdings at 1725 201st Avenue. The complaint was based on agricultural tours that were conducted on the property. Ms. Podol has appealed this notice and is related to the owner. In the packet is the original notice to owner. Ms. Podol's appeal, and some investigative reports, and then also a advertisement on Facebook, 2 of them.
Okay.
And she's here tonight to talk if she wants to.
Okay. I guess, is that Mary? Okay, Mary, you want to speak on this? Here, Fidel? It's your appeal, correct?
Stallhold Farms, yes.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I really just have one simple request. Received a letter September 11th, dated September 8th, notice and order that we were in noncompliance with the ag zoning. It did not have specifics, but the staff agreed to meet with me the following week. And when I left that meeting, it was understanding that we had reached a resolution. My only request is that I have a letter in writing, and it can just simply say that that letter of notice and order has been resolved. I have not received such, and I just, as President Reagan said to the Soviets, trust but verify. That's all my request is. Additional information for you is we have begun the process to review the zoning for making that more applicable. And we have engaged Ackerman Estvold, who will be plotting the property, and I'm waiting on some of that information from him. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else want to speak about this appeal? Does anybody else want to speak about this appeal?
Good evening, Commissioners. Jamie Feist. I was the one that entered the complaint. There was a zoning ordinance violation done that day. And the whole thing could have been avoided. I did reach out to, I called and talked to Daryl at the Soil Conservation earlier the day of the event. Explained to him that that those type of events were not allowed in the county at that time, that the county was in the process of working out an ordinance to allow those types of activities, but at that point, it was not allowed on ag-zoned land. He was unaware of that. I explained to him that it was last minute. I wasn't going to make him cancel his event. My only issue, and I had expressed to him that I did not want them to have any of the tour to extend to the southern part of the property along my livestock pens, because I explained that there would be damage as a result of that. Daryl was totally understanding. He totally agreed. He said, absolutely. He said, that's the last thing I want to see is your animals get damaged because of this event. He said that he would reach out to Mary, let her know that there's plenty of stuff to tour in the greenhouse buildings, and there's no need to go out back to look at a pumpkin patch. Figured the call ended, figured it was taken care of. Mitch was out of town on vacation, so he could not address the issue at all. Later on that afternoon, vehicles started to roll in. Everything was fine. Probably about 3:45, people started to head out back. I texted Daryl and let him know, Daryl, we talked earlier. I said, there's people starting to head out back. His reply to me was that he explained it to Mary, that he did not want people to go out back. He said, but Mary called the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department told them to proceed. So he said, there's nothing I can do. I explained that there was damages. I had animals die. I had animals get injured that day as a result of this, about $15,000 worth. And he was real sorry for what happened, and he was just going off of what Mary had told him. Well, I reached out to the sheriff's department to file the complaint, let them know about what I had for damages because of this event. The sheriff's department told me that Mary called them and told them that she had the proper permits for her event from the county. So that is why the sheriff's department told her to proceed. That was not the case. Like I said, this could have all been avoided if the events would have taken place up front. There would have been no issues. There would have been no damage to my animals. There would have been nothing. Just a few things to point out in her email that she had sent for her appeal. She says, I am confident that all counties in North Dakota allow conservation and farm tours without the added cost and action of the special use permit. Actually, Morton County requires a special use permit for this in any event. It's anything in Morton County requires a special use permit. Morton County said that they are very protective of their ag-zoned lands and they do not want to see them commercialized. So when there's violations like this, they go ahead and they prosecute. She also says that she did not count the number of cars, but there were only a handful of cars in the parking lot that day. I provided footage for Mitch. There was 43 cars there that day. 43 is not a handful. They're just downplaying this. She also says that they're being targeted unreasonably. That is not the case whatsoever. They're only being targeted when they break an ordinance because I phone it in because I continually have been receiving damages. I have a neighbor on the other side as well, same size lot, same distance, everything. I don't lose animals from him. I don't have issues on that side because they are using the land for the intended purposes for ag zone. It's not a recreation spot. It's not a tourism place. It's nothing like that. For the 3 years prior to them taking over, I didn't lose one animal, didn't have one injury from the previous owners at that greenhouse because it was being conducted how a business should be conducted on ag zone land. It wasn't multiple people. It wasn't strung out across the property. The day that this happened, she had people that went back to this pumpkin patch for this tour, and there was people strung across that whole property. Not in a group. There was multiple groups that went back. She was with the first group. There was 2 other groups that went back. There was also people that decided to wander from their property, ignore my no trespassing signs, trespass onto my property, and stand alongside my fence, spooking my animals, which resulted in the death and injuries of a few. It's been an ongoing thing for multiple years. We're tying up Burleigh County Sheriff's Department resources to come up and constantly deal with these reports, and they're just documenting it for me. I've sensed the frustration in them. They said that as the Sheriff's Department, they cannot enforce anything zoning. That comes down to planning and zoning. So they're just documenting. So I have a paper trail of every instance that happens and every time I lose animals. These animals could live here or live there and not have issues with neighbors. When I moved to this property, I came from a smaller property, a third the size, 300-foot wide lot, so about half the width of what I currently have. I had a neighbor on each side as well, and I did not have any issues whatsoever with neighbors. My neighbors loved me. They hated to see me go. I lived there for 17 years, but I got tied up in the ETA when the city annexed out. So I decided to move my farm farther out to avoid being in a city or around a development or a lot of people. So I picked that spot. And before I purchased that property, I met with the previous greenhouse owner and I met with the neighbor on the opposite side. I explained to them the type of livestock I was going to bring there, asked them if it was a quiet neighborhood, asked them if they thought it would be a good fit, because if they said no, there's a lot of hustle and bustle, or this is kind of a busy part of the county, I would have looked somewhere else. They thought it was going to be an excellent fit for there, especially the greenhouse, because he operated that business 2 to 3 months a year, and then it was closed after that. He went up to his cabin and spent his summer there. It worked out perfect for 3 years. Towards the end, I had a few issues because there was dogs that would run loose, but besides that, like I said, I never had one dead or injured animal. So this is all being done because of how the new owners are operating this place and what they want to transform it into. It's not this small neighborhood greenhouse anymore. This is a commercial enterprise. And it's not zoned for that. And my animals are paying the price because they're not operating within the zoning ordinance. Laws without enforced consequences are merely suggestions. They're not following the laws. They're not taking any of your suggestions, and my animals are paying the consequences. Last fall, or end of last summer, when the whole corn maze thing was going on, this commission determined and told her that food trucks are a commercial activity and they are not allowed on ag-zoned lands. That was explained last summer. Okay, starting this spring, food trucks every weekend again at the greenhouse. Disobeyed, did not care, advertised on the event for this garden tour. On their flyer, it was advertised about their You Pick Sweet Corn Patch, You Pick Pumpkin Patch. Okay, so they were advertising for these events that required a special use permit. They did not come to the county to apply for a special use permit. They still went ahead and did some of the activities. They don't receive a consequence. The only ones that are receiving the consequence is myself and my animals. And I think it's been long enough that something needs to be done. One question I have, at the last meeting we had on the 20th there, Commissioner Bakken had asked Auditor Splonskowski, because Mary was not present at her appeal, if there had been any emails from her saying that she was not going to be able to make it that evening. You had checked multiple times and said, no, I have not received anything. Well, then miraculously, 20 minutes later, Commissioner Bakken is called over and Auditor Splonskowski had found an email. So I guess my question is, do you have a date and time on that email? Did it come in that evening, or was it prior and you just missed it? Or it just seemed awfully convenient for somebody sitting at home if their appeal gets denied. Well, that didn't go as I planned, so I better hurry up and send an email in.
Yeah, no, if you want to see that date and time that I received that email from Mrs. Podol, it was prior to that.
Okay,
and,
well, that was just my main concern. As long as you can assure me that it was before and it was something you missed, because if it was sent after the vote was already done, then I don't think that, I think that should be considered.
How about if you provide your email address and he'll just forward you that email?
Okay.
You can get with him with your email address.
I'll do that. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Commissioners, anybody else have any questions? What do you see as the resolution here? I mean, I think, I think it's clear, and I'll ask Mitch about zoning and things like that, but at your previous property, you had some kind of fencing or something that was helpful to you.
Yeah, I had a lot.
Is there any action on your part that would mitigate this?
I had
or?
some shade cloth on a section of my fence at the old place because it was surrounded with trees, and that was only basically 20 feet from my neighbor's garden and their Rottweiler, and that worked good because the trees suppress the wind so it doesn't grab that shade cloth like a sail. I had shade cloth. I tried that with the previous owner. I put shade cloth along that whole east side. It lasts about 3 weeks in the area we're at. The fence line, my property, it's got a lot of topography. The greenhouse property is pretty flat on the north half. There's a little bit of a rise on the south side, but it comes over the hill and down the valley into the greenhouse, and the wind just howls through there. I had shade cloth on there, like I said. It lasts about 3 weeks in the sun, and then the wind. You get a little tear in it, and then pretty soon I have a 300-foot sail whipping in the wind, and then I'm picking pieces of shade cloth up off of the ground. That also becomes a choke hazard because if those pieces fall inside, animals chew and eat on everything.
Yeah.
You get
I
a
guess-
bound up gut.
I guess my point there is if it was my land and my animals, I would be taking some additional steps. I'm not saying that
I had a
it's right or
buffer,
wrong, but I know
I
I
had a
would do
buffer
that.
strip.
And, you know, my daughter is a veterinarian, and I am completely sympathetic to animals getting harmed.
Yes.
But I think
put
that
a buffer
I
strip.
would be doing
Yep, what I did with my property, instead of, legally, I could put my livestock fence on the property line. I backed that off the property line so I could plant tall vegetation and have trees there. Okay, well, those have started to come in. I had some stuff on the south side. That got demolished last year when the guy planting the corn maze decided that that was a good place to turn around at the end of the field. So he would exit their property, drive over my buffer strip to turn around and continue planting the field. So there's not much there anymore. Vegetation-wise, no, it probably wouldn't work. I know there's talks for them moving forward in the PUD department. That has a lot of concern for me because that's basically gonna give them permission to host these events every day, and I'll eventually run out of animals. It shouldn't be my responsibility to block out the disturbance they are bringing to the ag property. It's, when you look at the developments down like on 52nd Street, Clear Sky, I believe it's called. When that got turned from ag to a development, one of the requirements was the developer had to put a wall around that property to keep that hustle and bustle in and to protect the neighboring properties that are still zoned ag. A little further north on 52nd there, when they had developed that industrial park, there was a whole list of landowners that were petitioning that as well. They had to put like a 20-foot dirt berm as well as vegetation across there to block that out from that residential thing. The only thing that would work would be, like I said at the last go-around, you're gonna have to have a wall, just like you see at a lumberyard. That should not be my responsibility. North Dakota is a fenced-in state, meaning I have to put a fence to keep my animals in. If the neighbor decides to get cows, I don't have to put up a fence to keep his cows off of my land. When your herd is people instead of animals, it's your responsibility to put up a wall to keep your herd on your property. That should not be my responsibility. I should not have to invest in the infrastructure for them to grow their business. That's part of growing pains. If you want to grow your business, then there's certain expenses you have to do because you want to change the use of the land. That township is 99.9% ag land. There's only like 2 little lots right in Baldwin. Everything else is owned ag. That's an agriculture township. That's.
Yeah, I can understand that, Jamie. I don't have an issue with that. I just said that if it was my animals, I would be taking more action myself, that's all. I wouldn't wait for the government to help me. I wouldn't, because apparently it's not working. We got to
Yeah.
get some sort of resolution and we'll
Yeah.
work towards this, but
I tried for a resolution on myself. When that property went up for sale, I wanted to protect myself because I didn't know who the next owners would be. So that property went up for sale. I had my realtor reach out to the realtor that listed that property, and I offered to buy the back 30 acres of that land. So they could keep the front 10 acres, the greenhouse part would be fully intact, and they could operate that business how it had been operating for 20-some years. The realtor said the previous owner was not looking to split the property at that time because he had 2 individuals that were interested in the property, and they wanted to have full use of the property, not just a 10-acre parcel. So I tried to reach out to protect myself. I guess one other option for a resolution, because it's obvious that, they don't see any fault in what they're doing. They know the damage they caused from this event. There has never been an apology for any of this. They've never paid for any damages. They've never offered to pay for any damages. It's just something I'm supposed to absorb. But then on the other hand, Mary has come down at your public comment session to let you know that the weed board drove by the ditch and it killed a couple of her tomato plants. Tomato plants are important, and we need to let the county know if the weed board kills a couple of our tomato plants, but they don't see no issue with the livestock that they're causing to die. So My only other option that I can think of as a resolution would be that Mary grabs the big checkbook and we sit down and we make a business deal, and I'll give her the opportunity, a one-time opportunity to buy me out. She can have that property. Then she can do whatever she wants. But otherwise, I mean, I'll be up here at every meeting there is for the PUD and ask for certain things, especially a wall. And I think a wall would be would have to be, if that PUD would be granted, I think a wall would be the first thing that has to be done on the list of things to do. Not, oh, it's gonna come down the road, because then it'll never get done. A wall would have to be the very first thing that would have to get put up, just to protect my animals. I added additional pens. I put 6 more acres under fence this year to get my animals even further away from the greenhouse. So I'm doing things on my part.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
I'd like to ask, what's the downside on the complaint? The complaint's been filed, say it continues on and it's done. What's the downside? I mean, is she fined, or is she got a judgment against her for money, or I don't know, what is the downside? Anybody know?
I have no idea.
that'd be
Morton
a
County,
question-
Morton
that'd be a
County
question
said they
for Mitch.
prosecute everything as a misdemeanor.
That'd be a question for Mitch.
Mitch, yeah.
Thanks, Jamie.
Mr.
Anything
Chair.
else you want to add?
Commissioner, this is a Class B misdemeanor fines,
Just
levy
a
fines
fine.
against the property, yeah.
Okay, so what, we've got these violations, and
Yeah,
she
Mayor-
talked, Mary, talked about a meeting. What conclusion, where are we at with that?
We did have a meeting with her
Yeah.
following the complaint, the notice to her, and she did agree that not to have any more U-Picks or events on the property without a special use permit. I think, as I remember, I think she said she's out of the U-Pick business. I'm not, but right now we are working on the development of the property. We've asked her to create a subdivision of the plat of the property and also to apply for a PUD, which is changing the zoning to fit that property. Because you have so many different things going on. Some of it's ag, some of it's commercial, some of it's education. And so it's part of that PUD, we have discussed having a buffer zone on the property lines.
Which is normal for PUDs.
Absolutely.
Okay, so was there a permit in place for the event that we're talking about?
The one in July, no, there was not.
Okay. So her request with the appeal, if I remember right, was a letter from you stating something. What's your thoughts on that?
Stating that the notice to owner would be removed, that there would be no action taken against the property.
But the action, the event was a violation of the zoning ordinance.
Absolutely.
And so I take it you're not sending that letter? Or,
I sent the letter in September. I was out of state. I sent it after the ordinances were in place,
yeah,
and that was the notice to owner. And that notice was regarding past events on the property. She has not had any since then, to my knowledge.
okay, so what does she gain by a letter saying that?
I'm not sure. She's worried that the county might have action on these past events, these infractions against the zoning. But, I mean, it's kind of after the fact. It's,
So the ordinance was passed
right,
after the event was held?
after the event was held, but she still didn't have lawful means of getting a special use permit for that event.
Okay, so then the letter would actually kind of validate doing the wrong thing,
Correct,
whether the ordinance was in place or not?
correct.
Kind of have a problem with that.
I was going to say, Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I have a serious problem with that. This person basically tells me I can go out and break the law. I can not follow the zoning ordinances, and there's no ramifications to me at all. Why would I even, in my business, why would I go get a permit to put up a sign if there's not going to be any ramifications for me not doing my job as a business? Why would I even care if I got a permit?
Because it was a violation at the time, even though it wasn't the current
It
ordinance.
was a violation
still a
because there was no
violation.
ordinances in place yet.
Correct,
She couldn't even get a special use permit if she wanted to
correct.
because there was no ordinance.
We were working on it.
We were- yep.
We were developing that ordinance, and I think at that time, it had gone through August was when we had the final approval on it, so it took 30 days for that public advertisement for any appeals to the ordinance, and nobody appealed, so it went in effect on the 8th of September. That's when I sent the notice.
I completely disagree with this.
Okay,
I,
you know, I'm a little hard of hearing, but I heard something from back here.
yep.
Mary asked her to talk.
Absolutely, and you should come up.
I don't disagree with you, Mr. Munger.
Come on up.
Up to the mic.
Come on up.
I don't disagree that there is something. So last year, the corn maze, I put in a special permit. I was denied. I was giving appeal rights, but the appeal wasn't held because it wasn't in an ordinance. So I believe I have good faith in looking at the draft. Burleigh County Soil Conservation has had tours upon tours, and there are several things stated that I did not actually hear or have those conversations, but if I had, whether it's me or the Burleigh County Soil Conservation District, whoever was responsible for receiving a special permit, there wouldn't have been appeal rights. So then, again, then you wouldn't have heard the appeal. I would have gotten my $300 back. So that's something to consider. I do not intentionally want to hurt these deer. I love animals. I have a vet tech as a daughter who loves animals. We have had sheep on our farm. We have horses, care for animals. That is not the point here.
Well, it is the point. It's a big part of the point.
Well,
Deer,
I agree.
I don't know if you understand,
I do
but
not intentionally go to hurt his deer, but there is, I'm just here to talk about the order, the notice and order. We met the following week. When I walked out the room, it was resolved. But I don't have that in writing. If I did not have that in writing, if I do not have that in writing, or as minutes of this board, there's always the potential in the future for that to come back and say, well, you were in noncompliance, so we're going to do this, this, and this. That's all I'm asking. When I walked out of that room the following week, I felt like it was resolved, but I have nothing in writing. I am simply asking that it say the notice and order from that. While it was not specific in the notice and order what was wrong, I'm just asking for a resolution to that, as it was when I walked out of that day. Do I need to address all of these other issues? I don't know. But let's talk about damaging his deer and his expectations. So not once has he been over to talk to Jared and Ashley, except in anger, the first time they walked to the back of their property. Any other time one of us talks to him, we have the potential of being called upon by the sheriff for assault. So to sit down with Jamie is pretty scary on my part. But the PUD is very clear, and we have engaged the right person to do this. We are willing to put up the recommended barrier, not a fence. That's not a requirement that should happen, but a 3-row windbreak type thing with tall trees and short trees and a sound barrier, absolutely. I started planting some tree rows this year. already. I did not notice anything that had been planted there before, but I'll take Jamie's word as it is that was destroyed. But I do care, and it bothers me that you said I didn't.
No,
Well,
Mr. Chair, if
go
I
ahead,
can address this.
Commissioner Munson.
Mary, my point is, you and Mitch came to an agreement, and if that letter needs to be sent, that letter needs to be sent. I'm disagreeing with that agreement. But that is between Mitch and I. If you and Mitch have an agreement, that's up to you guys. I just disagree with it. Because if there was an infraction of the zoning ordinance and there is no consequences to that, my example is, in my business, if I choose not to get a permit and I have no consequences, well, then why would I ever get a permit? So again, if you and Mitch have an agreement, that's between you. I'm just disagreeing with it.
If I may say
think
one last
I
thing.
think as far as along those lines, I want to add to that a little bit. I don't think that I would feel comfortable sitting here and directing Mitch to create a letter. I just don't see it.
But it's already
If
been,
he's decided that he's not going to prosecute under that
right,
thing, that really is his call at this
correct.
point.
Yep,
And I don't have a need to challenge that, and I don't think a letter is going to do anything to resolve it, because my concern, Mary, is you're just going to continue doing as you've been doing, and it's just not working out.
It isn't.
What's it going to take from your perspective to resolve this?
Putting up the windrow, as per has been discussed already in a different, separate meeting.
That's
with
not. I can
Echo.
already tell you that's not going to be enough for me, because I've planted thousands of trees, and on my property, and it takes forever. I mean, they don't. That's not a solution for you to go out and do an event. Put in some trees this week and go do an event next week.
Oh,
That's just
that's
not
not the
going to cut it for
plan.
me.
We have no short-term or even long-term to do as you pick. I know that I did a post about pumpkins it was merely a gut reaction to needing to get them out of the field. It was not meant to be an intent. Mitch made it very clear it came across as an event.
Well,
Lesson
looked
learned.
It looked that way online.
He
You know,
explained that.
We just have to stop this. We can't be having this continual thing and burdening the sheriff's department. And he said, she said, can you work towards getting along? I think you understand your neighbor's concerns. You both
I
have.
do.
You both have a side to the issue, but there's got to be a happy medium here. It's not
happy
all on
medium.
one side or the other, but this is dragging out a little too much, commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Mitch, you said that you two came to an agreement. What was that agreement? And in the future now, we have ordinances in place that are going to take care of this, right?
Yes.
If you apply for a permit to get it done and we approve it, you've got the right to do it, but you need that permit. So in the future, do our ordinances take care of this problem or not? Will they? And I still want to see what the agreement that you two came up with. You said you had a resolution. What was that resolution?
Okay, Mitch.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Woodcox, there was no agreement. It was the fact that she agreed not to have any more special use activities, any more agricultural tourism activities. And it was like the idea is that if she is to continue to have another one, we have Article Article 30, Section 4 violations, where Burleigh County can, there's a penalty for disregarding Burleigh County and its authority. And you're going to waive fine, you can apply fines to that. And during the meeting, we discussed that. She said she didn't. She was not going to have any more agricultural tourism. So case closed. We weren't going to prosecute or anything, or ask for prosecution against it.
Okay, so no letter required.
I didn't say I was going to write her a letter. She asked for it. I never said I was going to
I don't
send
see
one.
where that's going to solve anything. I think there's a clear understanding that the ordinances are in place, there's permits required, any further violation of that is going to result in enforcement action, and I don't think we have anything more to talk about.
I'd agree.
Commissioners, do you want to take any action on this?
Mr. Chairman, according to this, we're requesting, she's requested that we overturn the complaint that was filed and approved, right? Is that what this is all about? Reversal,
Well,
it says reversal of, appeal of notice of complaint.
What I wrote was, at the time, in order to be able to have appeal rights and to have this in writing and heard that it's been resolved, I didn't know what else to write. So tonight,
I'm just
please.
concerned, what are we doing with this today? What's our options?
I would entertain a motion to deny the appeal, as I think that would be the appropriate thing, but I don't know.
Thank you.
This has just got to stop. That's all. We can't have two neighbors.
She can have events if there gets a permit in the future.
Well, yeah, permits are
Exactly.
permits, you know?
Yes, that's why we are working with Ackerman.
So the future's taken care of, essentially. You get a permit, you can have it. No
Right.
permit, no event.
Right.
Now, if you have an event and you get a problem with the deer, I don't know about what.
So I guess we should ask the state's attorneys, assistant state's attorney.
Right, just for the record, my name is Dennis Engel from the State's Attorney's Office. State's Attorney lawyers unavailable. As I read an appeal, it's essentially a request for the commission to decide whether the administrative agency made the correct interpretation. That's what the commission's being asked to do. If the commission believes that the interpretation from planning and zoning is correct, then the commission can take the action to deny the appeal. But it's really a determination, and I can read the language here. Really a request for review of an administrative official's interpretation of a provision. If you think he interpreted it correctly, then you're within your discretion to deny the appeal.
And, Chair, in lieu of
Commissioner
no
Buckman.
punitive action, following up with this, I would make a motion to deny the appeal.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the appeal. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab. Yes. Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really, really think you folks can work together. I want to believe that. Okay, Mitch, next, application fee.
Mr. Chair, the waiver of application fee in August of this year, Albert Kuntz paid for an application for a special use permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit on his property. That he owns on 149th Avenue. Because of the restriction of that size, of the allowance of an ADU on a property, he wanted to put a larger home on there. And because he was advised that he couldn't allow so much square footage, and he wanted higher than that. And so we advised him to do a subdivision plat, and he could build as big a building as he wanted to. He paid, this was in between the application and the public hearing and the approval of it. So he has since paid for the platting fee of $550, and he's asking for a $300 waiver of the special use permit that he made for application before that.
And what's your position on that?
It would be advisable, because he didn't go through with the special use. He wanted to have a larger house, and so it was prevented to do that with the special use, and so
Yeah, that was a
instead.
long answer. Is it fair?
It is fair, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Mitch.
I would move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab. Yes. Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Mitch. Next.
Next on your agenda, excuse me, is application for a special use permit to place a temporary Met Tower on in Canfield Township on the legal address that is part of that memo. These towers are to assess renewable energy potential, and the tower will measure wind speed, direction, temperature, and atmospheric conditions. It's approximately 197.6 feet in height and will be equipped with meteorological instruments mounted at various heights. The tower will use approximately 1 acre of land and is intended to remain in place for 12 to 36 months. It will be fully removed and the site restored to its original conditions. It has high visibility markers and FAA compliant requirement if needed. The Planning Commission recommended approve the permit based on the applicant providing current stamped engineered plans designed to the ANSI standard. In this office, we received them on the 27th of October. Based on these documents, it's recommended to approve the special use permit. I have a copy of the special use, the draft special use in the packet. And this would be based on, if you approve it tonight, they would have 36 months from tonight.
Can you give me a little better idea of where that's at? I don't have a good
There is a
county reference.
There is a site plan in the packet. There's not many.
Yeah, I see, but that only tells me like 210th Street
Yeah,
northeast. That doesn't really.
Well, it's in Canfield Township, pretty much on the northwest corner of it. I mean, I can go get my computer, we can look on the,
No, just in general terms. I mean, is it near Baldwin? Is it near?
oh, it's
closer
north of Baldwin, east of Wilton. North of Baldwin by probably 10 miles.
Okay, all right. So it's
And
up in
east
that-
of Wilton, at least another 5-10 miles.
Okay, so the other question I have is, have you received any public comments against doing this?
No, we haven't heard anything.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Munson.
Mitch, during planning and zoning, we were questioning the engineer drawings. Did you get updated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the ANSI standard, we had to get a new, because they were, I think, 2008.
Yeah.
And we wanted some current plans, and so they did. They provided some stamp plans that the tower is designed to those ANSI standards.
Perfect. Okay. I would move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the special use permit for the Met Tower. Any further discussion? Commissioner Woodcock.
Is this tall enough that the FCC or the airport has to be informed and the height? And you mentioned lights on it. We'll have the proper aviation lights up on the top?
If they're required, that's a good question. I don't know if you guys have talked to FAA or the airport? These guys,
Yeah, why don't you come on up and
come on. Yeah.
state your name for the record, please?
My name is Paul White. I'm CEO of PRC Wind. We're the company installing the tower. And as Mitch had mentioned, the tower will comply with FAA requirements and have any and all required
Lights, lighting.
fixtures necessary.
Okay, great.
Yeah, 'cause I can see it's like 197, a little over, almost 198 feet, so I think that's normal.
Yep.
Commissioner Schwab.
I'm kind of curious, you don't just put a tower up for no reason. Who gets this information?
We do.
You do, but
We do.
well, you must sell it.
No, our company is in the business of evaluating wind energy, wind resource for potential generation of electricity. This site is in the general location of another existing wind energy facility that's operating in the Wilton area. And we are evaluating the wind energy resource to identify if there's a possibility of building additional generation in the future.
Could that be used to develop a plume model for escaping gas? Specifically CO2?
Oh, No, the data that we're collecting, I don't know, I'm not familiar with that question. That's the first time. Thank you. Our data is not used for what you just described, no.
Yeah, that's a safe answer. I'd go with that. Okay, thank you. I don't know that there's a need to follow up on that any further.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioners, before you have a request for a special use permit for.
Will we approve the permit, please?
Yeah, there was a motion in a second, correct?
Do we have it already?
The vote has not been taken yet.
No. Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken?
No.
Commissioner Schwab?
No,
Chairman Bittner?
there you go.
Not so easy. Yeah, the Met Tower is not a wind farm, so yes. Answer, my vote's yes, on the Met Tower for a special use permit.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. I doubt whether I'd have the same position on a wind turbine.
I hate losing.
County Engineer Hall, got award of bids and a second approach permit.
Good evening, Commissioners. The first item I have is the award of bids. This is for 3 motor graders, not 2 as listed in the action required part of the board letter. I just wanted to point that out. On October 6th, the county board authorized the county auditor and the county engineer to advertise for bids for 3 motor graders under the 5-year total cost bid process with a guaranteed repurchase price. We opened bids on October 28th. The bids that we received are listed in your packet. The apparent low bidder was RDO at $265,600 per unit. There is a proposed resolution in your packet. I do recommend that proposed resolution. However, there was some additional information that was given to us by Butler Equipment in their bid packet. So I want to discuss that a little bit so the board has complete information on this. Butler added some additional information on the optional equipment section of the bid. Now, generally, we don't look at this section unless you were the low bidder. So this is additional equipment that they may have that they may think we'd want. We look at that additional equipment and choose or not choose to go add that stuff on. They offered, as part of this particular section of the bid, to revise the agreement that we made with them 5 years ago, and 2, assuming we went with their bid, they would give us an additional approximately $40,000 per blade. So instead of the $110,000 that was listed as the buyback from 5 years ago, they would be giving us $150,000 roughly for each of those blades at this time. I did say no to this particular item, and my recommendation is still to go with the RDO bid opening. And the reason I said no to that is because our bid packet states clearly that the final number is the total cost bid. And it says right there, basis of award. That's what we base the award on, is that total cost bid. None of the additional information beyond that matters in the basis of the award. And this is something that we followed for at least 20 years. So I felt uncomfortable with breaking that precedent that we've had. In addition to that, we would be breaking an agreement that we had 5 years ago with them. Now, granted, it's breaking it in our favor, so that's something to consider, but I still don't like the process of breaking any kind of agreement. So my recommendation was that we go with the resolution that's in the packet. However, in an additional one thing, I did have a discussion with Commissioner Schwab, and I recommended to Commissioner Schwab that next spring, before the turn back date comes up for these pieces of equipment, that we put these pieces of equipment, the ones that we have currently that will be turned back, up for public auction on our public auction site. The investigation that we've looked at is these pieces of equipment, these blades, are definitely worth more than the $110,000 that we're going to get back. We think they're more like the $160,000 to $170,000 per particular blade. So what we could do was put them up for public auction and put a minimum bid on them. That follows everything within our agreement with them. If we get the minimum bid, which would be the $110,000 that would be obligated under the existing contract, or if it goes beyond that, we'll take the higher number. If it doesn't go beyond that, we can take the $110,000. So that's something that we can decide and talk about more next spring when the time comes up. So the proposed resolution is in your packet. I'd recommend approval, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Move to approve. I'm not comfortable with setting a precedent, a new precedent for something that we've been doing as good policy for 20-some years, so I would have moved to approve as presented.
Second.
Which one are we approving, RDO?
RDO.
RDO, that's correct.
Okay. Does anybody else want to speak on this? Come on up, give your name for the record. Prior to the vote, we do have a motion and a second, because I have an additional question.
First of all, thank you, Chairman Bittner, for recognizing me. For the record, my name is Lowell Mallard. I am the sales representative for Butler Machinery here in Bismarck. I'm the one that prepared the bid, presented it at the bid opening, and am here to answer some questions in regard to that here this evening. So I just want everybody to know that, first of all, we put that into there in an effort to basically extend the olive branch to Burleigh County, because we recognized right away that that was a contractual agreement that took place 5 years ago. However, we have to look at the big picture of what's gone on here in the last 5 years. I think we can all agree that there has been some inflation that has taken place that has driven up the cost of motor graders along with everything else. And in addition to that, when do motor graders get used? Okay, I think we all can agree that there's a pretty routine usage during road maintenance in the summertime. However, they get excessive usage in the wintertime when we have a tough winter. Let's count backwards to these blizzards and winters that we've had. We've really only had one in the last 4 years. So as a result of that, the graders that you have that are being replaced by this bid are significantly under what that $110,000 was determined at. Because that was determined in 2020 with 5 years and 7,500 hours worth of usage is where that number came from, okay? Now you could essentially say 90% of the usage has occurred, because this will happen in April of 2026 when they get replaced. And I'd like to submit a document to the commissioners here that would show a summary of those bids along with the hours of the machines and what the net effect of this would have on the budget for the year 2026. Chairman Bittner, may I be allowed to pass that out? Okay.
Commissioner Balkin's at a little disadvantage, so he won't have that in front of him.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you could put that on the Elmo, that would suffice,
All right.
please.
Thank you.
You got a screen in front of you, Commissioner?
Place right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you make that out, Commissioner Balkin?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, so I just like to run through this. There's a lot of numbers here, but the numbers are exactly what Engineer Hall presented to you here this evening. But in addition to that, this is where this additional value comes back in an enhanced buyback number that we're proposing as part of the bid. And I do want to reference two quick things on the bid before we go any further. Number one is, and this is in my handout that I provided to you here this evening, is that there is the two pages that are behind that summary sheet. There is what was actually submitted for numbers, which is completely consistent with what Engineer Hall presented to you here this evening on behalf of Butler Machinery. And then the last page is where this bidder suggested options is being proposed to you. So if you look there on, this is our statement that we're making, and I'd like to read it out loud. And we said, to provide Burleigh County with enhanced value Butler Machinery will, in lieu of the existing guaranteed repurchase, what we talked about already, the $110,000 that's already in place, offer an updated trade value towards each unit listed below by serial number contingent upon award of the bid. Machine condition at time of repurchase follows the terms and conditions of the repurchase agreement. So I hope you see, Commissioners, we are offering something that we were never asked to do. And we put our best foot forward. We came up with those numbers simply out of projecting. We ventured on the side of caution in the regard that we might have a tough winter and they might get 300-400 extra hours on them unanticipated. So we calculated those numbers out. We did, and I want to make it very clear, we did not go out and survey these motor graders to give if that was called upon, which would have been our procedure if that was called upon within the bid. So, but we did put this in there, and I guess we felt that we're perfectly fine to do that because it says suggested options. It doesn't mean you need to take it. We are suggesting to make this part of the bid. And I also want to call to your attention in the bid document, right on the very first page, that this is the responsibility of you as the commissioners. It clearly states in item number 3, and I can show this to you also, bids will be awarded or rejected as the best interest of the above named entity, which obviously is Burleigh County. So the net effect of all this, and this is what I want to make the point of on the summary sheet here, is when you calculate this out as we proposed it, there is an advantage to the county of just shy of $107,000, $106,960 to be exact. So I hope I've laid out to you the difference of our proposal versus our competitors and where the $107,000 advantage to the county is with going for the Butler proposal in lieu of what has been on the table or on the floor right now is moved and seconded for REO to receive the award. At this point, I guess I would stand for any questions from the commissioners.
Any questions for Lowell?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Schwab.
You're saying you get this back, you get more money, and we're going to do it this way, the way you said, we're going to do the buyback and we're going to raise it and change the contract 5 years old on the condition that we buy from you.
Yes.
That
This,
quid pro
if
quo.
you're replacing the existing CAT motor graders that are in place and granting us the award.
What you're doing here with this bid is you're really close, I think, to something we don't want. You want to change your bid as a favor. You're going to redo it, which will give you an advantage over RDO. Now, we can sell them blades, I'm sure of that.
Okay.
And we'll probably get more than what you're going to give us anyway. But I just can't go along with this. The last time you bought blades, you didn't have your specifications right, and then you came and you spoke about that.
And I'd like to comment on that when you're done.
It seems to be a continuous thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You wanted to comment? Go
Okay, so let's address what happened 2 years ago.
I don't
and get
care
that.
what happened 2 years ago.
Well, I would like to give you a little update how us as a vendor and the highway department worked together. They gave the vendors the opportunity to come and let's go through this bid, which was a great exercise for everybody involved. Let's clean this up. We're not going to throw somebody out for a specification because in fourth gear it goes 0.2 miles an hour faster. What they did this time, and I compliment the highway department for involving us and interacting with us, that we came to the agreement, let's have pre-approved models. And they've looked through our specs and said, yes, those are competing and comparable models. RDO, you need to bid your 772 G or GP, or excuse me, P or GP, and Butler, you need to propose your 150. So it takes that whole discussion off of the table. I guess the point I'm trying to make here this evening is that there's a $107,000 advantage when you peel the onion and look at this as a total cost bid at this point in time. and I'm not disagreeing with you,
Why didn't
Commissioner
you put
Schwab.
that- Why didn't you put that in on the front of the bid?
Because of the fact that
Because
we
you're
can't.
gonna use that to get the bid, and I think that's unethical, and I won't support it.
Okay.
Period.
All right. I understand your point of view
I
on
can
that.
su- I can
However,
support it.
and I can reference this because we have several Morton County commissioners in the room here this evening. Their bid was the day before. Coincidentally, the prices of these came up. I'm showing you a $50,000 or a $40,000 difference. How would we respond to those commissioners if they're saying, wait a minute, we bid the exact same motor grader yesterday and you're selling it to Burleigh County for $40,000 less? In addition to that, if you look at the bid document, what I have to fill out, it says very clearly that any additional items does not go back onto the bid page. This is dealer suggested. So I guess I don't feel that we are out of compliance in how we presented these numbers to you.
Marcus, can you come up here? What do you think?
Commissioners, I have no problem with the CAT blades. I just want to state that to begin with. They have a fine product, and we've used them in the past, and so there's no issues on that. My biggest concern is that line number 3 of this particular thing, we clearly state basis of award is on that line item. And I'm very uncomfortable with doing anything that doesn't base on that line item. Now, in the future, if we want to relook at how we bid these, I have no problem doing that. But this one is in place, and that's the number that we received. I am sure that we can get more for these particular pieces of equipment when we go out for bids. CAT is not a nonprofit institution. They plan on making money on these even at $150,000. So I think we can get more also. So to say that there's $106,000 savings or additional money for us, I think we can realize that on our own.
Well, I have a little concern with that, Marcus, because earlier you said maybe put a no sale amount of like 110 or whatever that original number was. And that would be leaving 46,000 per machine on the table. So I would think that at bare minimum, Burleigh County needs to realize at least 156,000 for the lowest hour unit.
And Commissioners, and we can work all that out next spring as far as when we put that up and what we set the minimum bids are at. So I have no problem with doing that. The only reason I was saying 110 is that's what was in the existing contract. So I wanted to make sure that was covered. So.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, I need to make sure that that's covered because you're talking about, 50, 60 grand per machine. Commissioner Woodcock.
Mr. Chairman, well, we get bids all the time on all kinds of land deal, whatever, it doesn't make any difference. But I like to look at a bid and say, it's not apples and oranges, that we got two different bids. I mean, the two bids we have to analyze to see whether this one is better. I prefer, and maybe if I'm wrong, but I prefer to say, this is the low bid, and that's what we're taking. As long as their company is sufficient. But are we not? We're getting apples and oranges on this bid, aren't we?
Commissioners, because the CAT has added this additional twist in the package by adding this at the end, yes, it does confuse the situation. Because if you ask RDO, would they like to purchase those cats coming back at a particular price and then sell them on the open market to make money? They may have weighed in on that. So, but that was never part of the package. Changing the 5-year-old agreement was never part of the package.
Okay.
Are both of these machines, hang on, are both of these machines all-wheel drive?
Yes, I believe they're all of them are that.
Okay, because I didn't get that out of the thing. I just, I knew the cat was. Okay, Commissioner Bakken, did you have?
Again, the reason for my motion to go along with what Marcus had proposed was it's about the precedent and not changing the precedent. This is an extra twist beyond what we had asked for. We've gone over this, and should somebody be allowed to rebid or because they missed a deadline or it wasn't filed email, it was sat in the auditor's office, or it was hand delivered and it was delayed somehow. I mean, we deal with this all the time. We have a position, we have a precedent set, we have a way of doing things. If somebody wants to go beyond the specs of what a bid is, then it's hard for us to evaluate that. Again, when we come up to sell these, if Butler or RDO or whomever wants to bid on these for turning a profit, they're more than welcome to do such. But right now, we have a precedent set, we have a way of doing things, and I feel that this would be out of compliance for our process.
Commissioner Schwab.
I think Commissioner Bakken is correct, and I think Marcus, I, and the group back here, we're going to have to revise our contracts to stop this stuff.
And
This
we can
winter,
look
we'll
at
have
that
time
after
this winter.
Yeah, after this is complete, we can look at how we do it and see if there's another way. So,
Because you can't modify a contract after you know the bids and say, well, we can beat that. We'll just do this and this. That could go on and on forever, and this is the third time now that we've had trouble with bids. And ethically, I can't support. I got to go
Lowell
with
has something else to
RDO.
say.
Okay, I guess I just want to make it very clear, we're not modifying, we're enhancing what was in place from 5 years ago. And once again, this is, at this stage, is a $107,000 advantage to the county. That's why I'm asking for your consideration on this. And furthermore, now this discussion is going on, well, we'll just auction them off. And I'm not saying that's not a viable option that you can do. You're entitled to do that because it says right in here that the entity, meaning Burleigh County, has the option to do with it, the asset, whatever they want. They can auction it, but I'm going to also remind you, number one, you're at risk. This could swing the budget the other way. And number two, the auction companies don't do this for nothing either. Their typical, what they charge is 8 to 10%. So let's go to the, Marcus threw out the number of 160 to 170 for simple math. Let's say 150. They charge you 10%. Your net proceeds are only going to be 135 because they're going to charge you. They're going to charge you that 10% or $15,000 to do this. So we're all in agreement that there is an enhanced value to the motor graders that are getting replaced, and what we've come forward with is a concrete plan that has real dollars attached to it to the tune of $107,000 that I like to lay out before you that frees up budget dollars and helps you out to toe the line on the budget, if you will, or put some additional capital purchase into the budget for future. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No. I would have preferred that we just reject bids and start over. So, okay, next.
next item is a second approach permit. Robert McCray has requested a second approach permit on his property in Prairie Crest Second Subdivision. There is maps in your packet, shows that where these approaches would be. Both of these approaches would be off of Rose Drive. The reason we could not approve this as part of the Highway Department is they're right around 80 feet center to center, and our minimum is 100 feet. So at this point, we had to reject them. However, this is on a low volume, low speed roadway in a subdivision. I talked to the individual about placing that second approach out on the other roadway, and he has problems with the septic field and drainage fields out in there, so it would not be convenient to put it on that other side. So, as I stated, it doesn't meet our minimum qualifications so I can't necessarily recommend it, but I don't necessarily see any major problem with approving it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Sheriff Lieben, salary adjustment, variance to county policy, and quarterly report. Welcome, Kelly.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, again, and Commissioners. So I'm going to take things a little out of order, if you're okay with that. I'm going to
no.
start with the,
Go ahead.
okay, with the quarterly jail report. Figure give you the good news first, soften you up a little bit. But so our average daily population over the last quarter, actually last month, was 351. I did get new numbers today, and I'll share a little of that. The numbers stay pretty consistent, but that average daily population definitely impacts our billing ability as we deal with these contract prisoners. So just to give you some numbers of where we're at this year, billing for January through September, we billed $3,573,533. To compare that to last year, we had billed at this point roughly 1.8 million, and we ended the year roughly at about 2.6 million. So we are doing very good this year as far as managing the population, working with the entities that need these contract bed space. 2023, we were 1.4 million about this time, and we ended the year at 1.9 million. I did just, before I came to the meeting, I got the report for October. We took in another additional 500 and some thousand. So currently, our billing for the year is over 4 million. So we are on track and sitting very good to exceed that 5 million, which is what we were projecting. Again, these numbers, the good thing is these aren't Burleigh County prisoners. Or Morton County. They are basically federal inmates, state inmates, and ICE. ICE is probably the smallest of the equation, but I believe, if I remember correctly, the state, their bill for DOCR inmates this month was over 200,000. So those are very, very good numbers for us. Obviously, it helps, keep our costs down to run the facility. Staffing is the biggest issue as we look at, how many prisoners can we take in and manage, because obviously we need staff to run the building. The good news is we are currently one staff over. If you recall, and I've talked about this a lot, I'm authorized to hire 4 unfunded backfill positions, because by the time we turn an employee over and get a replacement, we've saved money in the budget. And so we did have one staff that had left us. They had inquired about coming back, so we were able to pick them up. The budget is going to be fine. Like I said, every time we have a vacancy, we figure that in what we're saving. Obviously, you have some overtime costs, but we just keep an eye on all those numbers. We've been hiring pretty steady. I've talked about this for probably for the last couple of years, I think it feels like, but we've been constantly hiring. I feel like we're making good ground. We really are. We're on track to get 4 new positions the first of the year, and I feel comfortable that we'll be able to achieve that. The good thing is, like I said, we get a lot of applicants. It doesn't always equate to hires, but the good thing is our staff is recruiting good people, which is a plus, because that tells us that they're happy with the place they work. As I spoke earlier during our meeting on the jail in the earlier session, Trent and I did attend Major Trent Wongan did attend a conference in Indiana.
As you know, we currently have that 400 pod that is just shelled in. At some point, the jail committee is going to have to make a decision on what we do with that shelled in pod to recommend to both commissions. So we did start looking at what are the options, and this is I would say probably a 3 to 5 year plan. But at least we're getting started at looking, at what's going on out there and how do we mitigate or work through that empty pod and finish it out if that's the road we go down. The good thing is we did gain a lot of information from that seminar we went to. In fact, I wish we would have gone to that about 10 years ago, and maybe we wouldn't be dealing with a jail paint lawsuit right now. But so that's something I'll be taking to the jail committee, but I just wanted on your radar that is probably a 3 to 5 year plan, that if this bed shortage continues, it's an opportunity for Burleigh County to consider as we would finish that pod out, and which would allow us to bring in about another 120 inmates into the facility. Just a quick update, we are moving forward with the state contract that we're projecting for the first of the year. We have sent our proposal back to the state. We're just trying to negotiate a contract that we can take back, Trent and I can take back to the jail governance board to get approval on that contract with DOCR. That we're currently holding some of their prisoners, but that would be a different group of people we would bring in the facility. Last thing, and I'll just make you aware of this, that we've kind of talked about it indirectly. We have the opioid settlement funds that are sitting out there, and also DOCR came out with a grant for basically inmate betterment, to help with recidivism. So Major Wangen came up with the idea of basically, and I'm just going to keep this at the 30,000 feet, but basically what if we proposed a addiction nurse in our facility that could work with our addiction people in there. As I've spoke to you before, we have a medication-assisted treatment program for people that are already on a drug to help them with an opioid addiction. What we don't have is a process to induct people into a program. And that's something that I think would be very beneficial. What that would look like is people would come to us, we would work with a provider and get them set up on some type of drug to help them with their addiction. And when I say drug, we're talking, buprenorphine, methadone, those types of drugs for opioid addiction. It's a...
Chair Bittner?
Go ahead, Commissioner Bakken.
Sheriff, could or would we be able to utilize opioid settlement dollars for some of that programming?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that's exactly what we'd be able to do. So what we're looking at, and I just want you to have this on your radar. I've talked with Commissioner Munson and Commissioner Woodcox as we've talked at the governance board. How do we help Burleigh County with that money? And my fear is we start a program that all of a sudden ends up on the taxpayer's back to go with, which if the program's good, it's worth it. And I think this program would be good. But the good thing is we've got opioid settlement money, I believe to the tune of roughly $200,000. We should be hearing very soon whether or not we got this grant, so I'll be presenting that to see if we want to accept that. And then obviously we'd be approaching Morton for their opioid settlement money also to help us administer that. So we
would be able to have a program put in place and be able to measure the outcomes and then decide if after the opioid settlement money has been utilized, the grant has been utilized, if there's value for Burleigh County to continue with that program. So we'll have a tested methodology of measuring the results of that programming, correct?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Commissioner Bakken, exactly. We're thinking that we're hoping that we could fund this program for probably 3 to 5 years between opioid settlement money and DOCR money. We're just waiting to hear on that DOCR grant, and then we're going to have to move forward fairly quickly.
Thank you.
The one thing that would do is that would allow us, an additional nurse. That way, working with that type of clientele in our facility, but also augment our existing nursing staff.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to discuss the next two things at the same time, if you're okay with that, because they kind of interrelate. So we're in the process of trying to hire a nurse, and one of the things, and I was hoping Pam was going to be here tonight. Maybe she didn't want to be a part of this, but no, actually, she's in agreement with.
Yeah, she had a prayer service for somebody that passed away.
Okay, sorry to hear that. I have spoke with Commissioner Woodcox on both of these items. So as I stated, we're in the process of trying to hire a nurse. And as you commissioners are well aware, this job market is interesting to say the least. And one of the things over time that we've had to do with these nursing positions is we've had to get very creative when we try and hire. And ultimately, when we compete against the other existing nursing positions in the community, and you've got 2 hospitals, you've got multiple clinics, you've got multiple nursing homes. I cringe every time I drive by a nursing home and I see the sign-on bonus and the salaries that some of them can pay. And I understand, we are handcuffed in some ways, especially now with a 3% cap coming into play. One of the things we've done in the past is we have looked at the 36-hour work week. That is what the nurses that are working shift work get in the hospitals. They work 3/12s and they're done. We've had to get creative and try and compete with that. We've actually even looked at, offering additional vacation, whatever we can do. Ultimately, I'm here today because we did just complete a round of interviews, and it was Groundhog Day all over again because we went through the same thing. Typically, when I bring positions into the department and I have a meeting with them to conditionally employ them, I explain the benefit package, I explain the salary we're offering, and they accept, and very little negotiation. Sometimes there might be a little bit, but I think we're very competitive. When it comes to nurses, I can't do that because honestly, when they come in, the first thing I have to figure out is what are they making? What is it going to take to get them there? And oftentimes we get creative, and a lot of times we just get lucky to fill those positions. And I'll be honest, this is something Pam and I think we've talked with Commissioner Woodcox on this in the past. I think we hire 2 positions, licensed practical nurses and registered nurses. We have not filled a registered nurse position in a long time. We've underfilled, and don't get me wrong, we've got good nursing staff out there, but we're filling at the LPN level because that's more where our salary is when we're hiring, because our pay grade for LPNs is pretty good. Our pay grade for nurses is going to need some work in the long term. So when we sat down, I had a meeting with the command staff at the jail and HR. We reviewed the nurse candidate we had. She's a registered nurse. I didn't disclose her name in your paperwork because she is currently employed, and if this doesn't go through, I don't want to jeopardize her job position. Over 20 years in the medical field as a registered nurse. Currently, our nurse supervisor is a registered nurse and is the only one that can do any of the teaching because LPNs can't teach. So what we're really trying to do is get another registered nurse in.
And we had to make some concessions and do what I would say is not typical when we looked at salary. So when we agreed on a salary we felt comfortable, which is my first proposal, as you're aware, I can authorize up to a grade 5 by county policy, or excuse me, a step 5. What we're asking is for authorization to bring this nurse in at a grade 9, which is a registered nurse, and a step 13. That is very in the market for what nurses are getting. Our hiring guy, Sergeant Elliot Carvel, did a assessment of what positions are paying out there based on vacancies, and he was comfortable with this. In speaking with Pam, Pam looked at what is being paid out there, and she was comfortable with this proposal. The reason I say we got to kind of do this together is the problem we run into is anytime we grant a variance, we have to look at existing employees. And so when we looked at our nurse supervisor isn't making the salary that we're proposing for this new hire. And part of that is I think we got very lucky bringing our nurse supervisor in at the time we did. Now, these salaries are jumping. These contract nurses are coming in. So the salaries, there's just so many jobs, and we're struggling to fill these. I did suggest to Pam that I think at some point in the near future, we're going to have to look at a salary study, whether we do that for individual positions or overall. But I think we're starting to see discrepancies. You've seen the state's attorney come in here, where it's just this market, the jobs are jumping, and people will get applicants that we're about to hire, and then their old employer will raise their salary, whatever, to keep them. So ultimately, I think this is the right way to do both of these motions. One would be to allow the variance, bring the nurse in at a 913, and then the other would be to move the nurse supervisor from a step 8, grade 12, step 8, to a grade 12, step 10, effective immediately.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
we've gone over this quite a bit, and I would move that we approve both the jail supervisor and the nurse to be adjusted their salaries accordingly so we can hire them.
Second.
Motion and a second and an echo from online. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Munson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yes.
Chairman Bittner?
Yes, motion carries.
I'm done. Commissioner Schwab wanted to just make sure. Thank you.
Hey, Commissioner Munson, you got wetland delineation report, request approval of the commission for something, and something. Okay.
First, we'll bring up folks from Swenson and Hagen to go through the wetland delineation report that we authorized several months ago.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Commissioners, good evening. Jason Patrician, Swenson Hagen and Company. Earlier this year, the Burleigh County Commission authorized more engineering to do a wetland delineation of the Missouri Valley complex, in which that result came back with a 170-page report filled with all sorts of things in regards to aquatics, hydrology, soils, and things like that. 3 indicators help to make a wetland: hydraulics, soils, and vegetation. The complex is approximately 350 acres, of which that delineation netted approximately 125 acres of wetlands, which a majority of it resides within the 100-year floodplain and the floodway. This particular exhibit here shows the areas more in interest to the complex, which are in more of the areas that could be buildable by different uses, and then of course by improvements that potentially could take place in regards to infrastructure and things like that to further the complex to be utilized to its fullest. Overlaid on this is a proposed road network that we have had discussions with the City of Bismarck on a potential plat in which would create some infrastructure abilities to bring water and sewer up these road networks, and then also to provide an extension of Tandem Drive to Bismarck Expressway, interconnecting back to Midwest Drive. In that study, with a proposed layout, if we were to choose to move forward with that, we could be looking at, in the future, potentially 1.5 to possibly 11 acres of impact. And that would be to bring in detention areas, which we can't necessarily put a detention area in a wetland, so that area has to either be mitigated or bought through the mitigation bank program. And then, of course, construction of any proposed roadways. And so that potentially would require us to either avoid those impacts, it would require us to mitigate them on-site, off-site, or to buy into the bank program. State of North Dakota has a bank program that's administered by ducks, and if mitigation is not an option, or if the Corps realizes that they don't want that as an option, a duck buyout can be procured. And so we've had some recent changes in the Corps of Engineers and on the federal level, and how the rules of permitting has been engaged recently. And so in order to really know how that's going to affect a permit, we would like to ask for a recommendation from the board to go out, solicit bids to get a firm in place to do a 401 permit and a 404 permit to move forward with permitting, and how that Corps would interact with the potential impacts, and how they'll come back with what they would like to see, I guess, more or less. So with that, I could take any questions that you may have.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Woods.
I've had the opportunity to meet with Jason and see this prior, so what excites me the most is, as the Missouri Valley Complex Committee is looking at developing, initially when we met with Swenson and Hagen, we were talking affected areas north of 11 acres. And with the latest proposal that we have worked through trying to get to that plat, we were at 1.5 to 2.5, depending on exactly how those roads went. So even though I know, and Commissioner Bittner has said, we know where the wetlands are. I mean, it's pretty easy to decide that, but without having the study done, we can't move forward with the plat. So it was one of those necessary evils. But I think what's exciting for me is we moved that 11 acres down to 1.5 to 2 of affected area. And so through this process, we got some good news out of it.
Yep, minimization is able to be enhanced because we know where that delineation now is. And so we've been able to move some of our things around to try to minimize and avoid as much of the impact as we can.
Yep.
So what are you talking about, that tandem drive section, kind of right by, in that lower, kind of left?
Yep.
kinda
So
area?
as we've rerouted the road, now we're just affecting that little area on Tandem instead of our previous plan.
Yeah, so why can't the road be where the road already is? What's the,
And that would probably be more of a Jason question. I know initially that's where the road we talked about. The city, through the plat development, has asked us to put the road where it is now. Not to say that that's where it's gonna end up. We haven't finalized.
So,
what do they got to do with where the road goes on?
If they're approving the plat, they're requesting the road to be there.
It's not their call.
Chairman Bittner, Commissioners, if I may.
Please do.
Tandem Drive here, by placing Tandem Drive, we
Right.
would be able to utilize an area in here for stormwater detention. And having this road come down, follow the existing road and come down, would effectively place or take away additional area for placing detention somewhere else. So we can move that road around, it can be avoided. It's more of where do we pick that water up, how do we manage that runoff, whether we're in the city or in the county. We still have that detention part that we have to figure out. Part of that comes down to, do we allow that area to be utilized for detention to preserve the higher ground for some of the additional uses for the facilities? Or do we not do that and sacrifice those areas to put additional detention facilities in and impact maybe future facility areas?
So by leaving the road where it currently is, our detention pond would end up being in some of that event and festival ground area that we would like to develop for that purpose. So the road does give us that option to then.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, because it looks to me like basically right there on the map, you've got a big chunk that's not in the wetlands, that you could turn that into the enhanced detention area and have a road in either place. I mean, I don't think we're reading too much into that, but, okay. Let's go ahead and continue. Or are you done?
I think Jason's done.
Available for comment.
Okay.
My motion at this time would be to request permission of the commission to solicit bids for the 401, 404 permits. That's all we're doing, is requesting bids from vendors to bring back to the commission for approval at a later date.
Second.
For doing the permits to the Corps of Engineers.
For what project? We got a project going on?
In order to move forward with the plat, and I'm gonna have to lean on Jason here a little bit more here. To move forward with the plat, we have to have the 401, 404 permits to understand what
If we would-
direction we're moving.
Chairman Bittner, Commissioners, if we would impact or believe we would impact any of the wetlands, we would be required to permit those wetlands. And so any of the construction of any future roadways or infrastructure would require permitting. At this time for platting, there would need to be some knowledge of how to handle those potential impacts if we're going to have easements, right-of-ways, anything that it is believed that could provide an impact handled and how it's handled. So ultimately, that plat could move forward on its own legs, saying that any type of stormwater, any type of wetland impacts, that whole package is handled as part of the platting process.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item C in my packet is Kimball Bottoms Bank Stabilization contract with Houston Engineering. At our last meeting, we approved the project to move forward. What was not in your packet at the time was the proposal from Houston Engineering to move forward to the next step in that process. I bring it to you for two reasons. One, to approve the contract. Number two, to decide where to pull the funds out of the 2026 budget. I had requested money for the Kimball Bottoms project, which was removed. So I would move forward with this contract with Houston Engineering, but paying for it with reserve dollars.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Can I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Woodcox?
The second figure, $25,000, that's to just do the permitting, is that expensive?
It takes 2 years.
Well, I'm not talking about time, I'm talking about money.
No, we didn't fund it in the budget, so.
Chair, I have a question.
Commissioner Bakken, did you get your question?
So, Commissioner Munson, does
Yes.
this, so this is mitigation stuff that we need to get done anyway. We're making orders on whether Kimball Bottoms is the best place. Something might change. This is just mitigation that's going to have to happen anyway, correct?
Correct. Whether we decide to do all the repairs that we approved last meeting, or we pull back and decide to give the park back and reclaim it to its appropriate spot or the previous condition, either way, this stuff has to be done.
So we would be, what now, requesting a permit for something that we don't know what we're.
Well, last meeting, we approved to move forward with the project to reclaim Kimball Bottoms.
Yeah.
So we already approved that project at our last meeting. This is the agreement with Houston to move forward with the permitting, the design plans that we approved, as well as the grant writing to try to get funds to help pay for it.
Did you put this out for bids, or how was this, how did you come to this?
We did not put it out for bids.
I see.
This is the group that we approved to help create the project.
Okay. Any further, Commissioner Schwab?
I don't remember approving that, and I don't see it in the minutes.
Okay, good catch.
Mark, was that last meeting or the meeting before?
I believe it was the first meeting in October
So
that
I
it occurred.
apologize, it was not last meeting, it was the one prior.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes?
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
No.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Schwab, Garrison Diversion Letter.
Yeah, it's time to send a letter to the Garrison Diversion. We have it made up. Do we need to read this into the record? I don't think I have enough wind to do it. Mark?
Has,
It was in the
state's
packet.
attorney signed off on this yet?
Well, it wasn't in the agenda.
Oh, no, it wasn't. That's right, so it's not an official document.
No. I think you can reference it.
I think there was a question, this is Dennis Single from the State's Attorney's Office. I think there was a question whether the state's attorney had approved it. Was that the question? It's my understanding that State's
Correct.
Attorney lawyer drafted the proposed resolution and the proposed petition. I had a conversation with her, and if the commission decides to move forward with the resolution and the petition, we drafted them, so we feel comfortable with the language.
So you need a motion to move forward.
Essentially, under the statute, we would need a resolution from the Board of County Commissioners directing the auditor and the chairman of the board to file the petition. And so we would need that resolution from the county commissioners directing the chairman and the auditor to file the petition. And so we provided a proposed resolution to that effect. And we've provided a petition that lays out the specific reasons why the county is not benefited by the diversion. And so those have been drafted by our office and they're ready. So the procedure would be approve the resolution directing the auditor and the chairman to file the petition, and then approve the petition and provide it to the garrison diversion.
Okay, I understand all that. I do think that probably would have liked to have read it. I know I have.
Yeah.
I have.
I got an email on it.
You've seen it? Okay.
My question would be, should this be available to the residents prior to us moving forward? I mean, I'm comfortable with what the state's attorney's written.
Oftentimes, we make decisions on things that are presented here.
Yep.
And they weren't previously provided, so I don't see that as a negative.
If you guys drafted, do we have to have another meeting? At another meeting, do we have to?
I would like an
on the
opportunity to
agenda,
read it,
or can
personally.
they sign?
So the question is, if you approve it, do you have to have another meeting?
And you rewrite it, you said? Or this is the draft?
This is the draft. It's ready to go. So the
Okay.
resolution is there if the commission approves the
Okay.
resolution.
I didn't understand that part.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wood.
I just got this in email this morning, and I read it, and it hasn't been circulated that much yet, but I'm also on the water board, and they have not seen this. They might have some input that we would benefit by, and I don't know exactly where they stand on this, but I assume they're probably against it, but I still would like them to be able to read this and see it, so I would move that we table this until our next meeting.
Okay, I have a motion to table this.
Second.
Motion and a second to table this to the next meeting. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
No.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Yes.
Commissioner Munson.
Yes.
Chairman Bittner.
No. Motion carries. I've seen it enough to where I don't have to.
Now, the reason why I didn't vote to table it is because you're talking about, well, maybe they want to speak on it. I'd like to see one of them show up one of these days and speak before something like this happens. They don't tell us what they're doing with this money. And I really have a problem with a $6 million, and we only get 500 and some back, and it's going to happen over the next 10 years, and they can do it in secret.
I thought it was more like 9.9 million. We got
I wouldn't.
385,000 back, but that's just my number.
It's a lot. It's a
I know.
lot.
I
And
agree
it's
with you
too much,
100%.
it's too much money to be buying a park board, a couple of sets of swings.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Commissioner Woodcock?
That's another reason for tabling. Now we've got an option, this is what we're planning on doing. Now we've got the option to give this to them and give them a chance to come back and say, this is what we're doing for Burleigh County. So, same way with the water board.
Well, yeah, but
It gives them a
Commissioner
chance to come back and.
Commissioner Woodcox, if I was the director up there, I'd find all kinds of things to do right now for Burleigh County on account of this, just to get rid of it. But
Nothing wrong with that.
a past experience tells me that
I
better
agree
we
with you.
get-
I agree with you wholeheartedly on the concept, because we've given them a lot of money and we've gotten very little in return.
I think that money put into the economy, and the taxpayers don't have to pay $1 million a year. It's going to be up there pretty quick. I just think it's the right move. Now, they did say they had all them assets, and I believe there's about 6 miles maybe of canal that kind of hits our border. And they include that in their assets, so it doesn't belong to the county either. But we got to fix it for them when they slide in. That's crazy.
Okay, well, it's going to be on the agenda for the next meeting.
Right.
Let's move forward. Item number 12, Commissioner Woodcock's 250th anniversary mural update.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is just an update. We're moving forward. We've got some preliminary plans on a couple of things that are working, but the wheels are churning. We did tentatively agree to match the Northern Plains Heritage Fund application was approved by them for $35,000. We need to provide a match in order to get that grant. And we tentatively talked about it, but we didn't get anything firm in a form of a motion or at least a consensus that we accept this bid of $35,000 matching grant. So I would like us to be able to provide a letter to them saying, to the Heritage Fund, saying that we have every intent of matching that with general funds, which is what we talked about last meeting. So I would like to move that we do that. We sent a letter, instruct our auditor to send a letter to the Northern Plains Heritage Fund accepting this $35,000 grant.
Second.
If that's a motion, I would second it.
It's been seconded. Thank you, Commissioner Bakken. Motion and a second to accept the grant for the Heritage Foundation. Any further discussion? Now, I'm not going to vote on this one. I am a board member of the Northern Plains National Heritage Area. That's the source of those funding, and I'm going to abstain. So, call the roll.
I believe technically the commission has to vote upon your abstaining from the vote.
Oh, correct.
So there has to be a
Okay,
motion
guys.
for that.
It's up to
It's
you.
a technicality, but it's
Yeah.
there.
No, that's just what we need is more
Well, and actually,
technicalities,
we could allow him to vote.
I would approve Commissioner Bittner abstaining.
Okay, second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Schwab,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
Now we
All right,
can't.
now we're good.
How tough was that?
Now you can't vote.
Legally.
Okay, now call the roll.
Commissioner Woodcox,
Yes.
Commissioner Munson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwab.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That's all I have for an update. I'll probably give you one of these little brief reports almost every meeting going through the winter time. So most of this is going to be done in the winter, but we're moving forward. July 1st, July 4th is coming up pretty quick, but we'll be on top of it.
Okay, thanks for the update, Commissioner. Appreciate that. Any other business for the good of Burleigh County?
Yes. Is there a representative of Summit Carbon Solutions here?
Are you kidding?
I gotta ask.
Well, I don't see anybody answering that question for you, Commissioner.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. We are adjourned.